Hello again guys, this is Vape, and I have another tip for fixing your broken Atmos heating chambers. It seems like the problem isn't extremely widespread, but I would say about 5 to 10 out of every 100 I've sold have had complaints of the heating chamber not working after a day or two, or a week, or even up to a month. But I think in my last video I had a solution that was just moving the heating coil around. It was all about the placement of the coil. That was kind of a general fix without me knowing exactly what the problem was. But I've looked into it a little bit more, and it seems like the main problem is the heating coil inside the chamber is getting loose or disconnected somewhere along the way. And how it works is the battery charges up the heating coil, and the electrical current goes through the entire coil, and that's what heats up the device. So if there's an interruption in that connection anywhere along the way, your heating coil isn't going to work like it was when you first got it. So I have a broken heating chamber here that I've actually fixed. It's working right now. I'll try to break it again and then fix it again to demonstrate how I go about solving this problem. What you're going to need is, let's see, a paper clip. This one I've unfolded already, but a small paper clip that you're just gonna bend out of place to get. You really just want to have a small tip here, and you'll need your packing tool that comes with the device. You're going to be using either end of it, and you might need some rubbing alcohol to clean out your device. This is nail polish, but same premise. That's just to clean it out to make sure any gunk that could be blocking the coils from touching each other is cleaned up. So moving on, since it's going to be hard for you to see exactly what I'm doing inside there, I've drawn a quick diagram. Here's how your heating chamber looks. You have the heating coil that spirals around, and you have two connecting pieces. One is in the center, and then one is on the outside. The one on the outside is usually, if you look at your device, when you twist it on, it seems to end up opposite the power button. So you have a power button, and when I twist mine on, usually on the opposite side, there's going to be the second hole where connection number 2 is taking place. So what happens is, you use your device, you take your packing tool, you scrape, whatever's left in there off. And when you're scraping, you're creating space between some of the coils, or loosening the connection, so the flow of electricity isn't going through the entire coil. So what we're going to be doing is, I'll be showing you how to just push the loose coils back towards, usually it's connection number 2, where the current is lost. You just push the coils towards the wire that is nearest that connection piece, and try to press down on them so that they're all making a connection, and that usually for me helps me get the entire, or at least half of the coil heating back up. So you can either use the packing tool to try to do that. I find it's a little more accurate to actually take the end of an undone paper clip and just sort of go in between the wires and scrape them down, and then with the tip very carefully just pressing them down onto this wire, and then once they press onto it, it's usually fixed for me. So again, this one, as you can see, I already fixed it, but it's, I've been tampering with it a lot, so it's kind of easy to break again. So, you scrape things out, you're a little rough in there, maybe you don't know you should be extra careful, and yeah, and it's, so you can see it's powering up, and it stopped working. So that's definitely how you damage these devices. I would try to avoid using the packing tool at all, really. I can usually clean my device out just by tapping it really hard, and then you need to clean it. You can just take a Q-tip, put it in some rubbing alcohol, wipe it around in there. And that usually cleans the device pretty well for me. Don't use it until everything's evaporated out and clean and dry in there, obviously. But that's probably a safer way to clean your device. So now let's talk about the actual repair. So again, what I'm going to be doing in my actual device is taking some outer wire of the coil, pushing it towards the wire that's near the connecting piece number 2, then pressing down on it to make sure all of the coils are touching. And remember, connecting piece number 2 is usually going to be opposite the power button, if I'm correct in that assumption. So I position them closer towards that connecting piece. I think they're all touching the wire now. It's not the easiest thing to accomplish. I've had some practice, so you can see mine's already lighting back up. Now it's hard for you guys to tell from this video, but only the bottom coil is lighting up, the top half is not. Again, that makes sense because if you could see the top half of the coil, try to demonstrate with my hands. So the bottom half is down here, connector piece number 2 is over here somewhere, and all of these wires are now touching because I've pushed them down with the paper clip. But the heating coil is a little bent, so the top piece is up here, a little elevated. Ignore these fingers. So since this isn't touching the coil directly, it's not getting that electric current, so it's not heating up. So really half of my device is heating up. Now if you want to carefully try to get that top coil going too, you can take the reverse end of your packing tool and gently press it onto the heating coils that are lighting up, and that should help it also get that electric current. So just try to find the elevated piece and gently press it down onto the other coil. These things are so delicate. So even now, I've actually the connection has come undone. So I have to go back in, push the heating coils together, press them down on each other. Once you get a good bit of surface area there, just press down as hard as you can because you really need all of these, this one pinpoint of the coils to all be connecting at least at one spot. I'm going to go ahead and try and get the top piece on there too. Yeah. So now the entire thing is heating up for me. Let's just light it up a couple of times so you can see that it is fixed. Powering it, it's heating up. Now this may or may not permanently fix your device. Obviously this heating coil is already a little faulty, so if you're packing it again and cleaning it back out, you might, it's a very delicate connection, so you might loosen those coils again, but you can just, each time it happens, like I've done here, just, let me demonstrate here. You're going to have to try it out for yourself, but take the outer coils, or I guess, I've probably overdrawn the amount of wires here. It's probably like, 3 or 4 spirals. So take, the outer ones, maybe a couple, push them down, place the paper clip on the inside of the wire in between them, push them down so that they're now closer to the edge of your heating chamber, and then press down on them so that they're touching the part of the coil that comes out of this connecting piece. So you press down, that helps that bottom coil complete the circuit. And then take your packing tool, if this is necessary for you, and press the top of the heating coil gently down onto those other wires. If you do it too hard, you might actually break your device again. But gently connect all the wires together. This will be your contact point, and the entire coil will start heating up again. So I assume every faulty heating chamber is a little bit different. So your connection might be getting lost somewhere else along the way. But if you try to find where you need to pinpoint the lost connection, I'm assuming it's always near the connecting pieces. And since the one in the center is pretty sturdy, I would assume it's always the one on the outside. But if it's somewhere else along the wire, just try to find that. Maybe tweezers would help too, just pinching all of your wires together, pressing down on them, and completing that circuit to get the current heating up your coil. That's worked for me. I fixed several devices that way. I've rebroken them, fixed them again just to make sure this method works. Hopefully it works for you guys as well. If there's any other tips you guys have, leave them in the comments. I learned about using a paper clip from a user in a previous video who commented that a paper clip works well. So any tips you have, share them. We're all in this together. And yeah, I think that'll work. So if you're interested in getting some Atmos pins at a fairly reasonable price, you can check out my eBay listings. The link is in the video description below. So just click on that. I usually have some good deals. Sometimes I sell out, so the page is not doesn't contain any Atmos pins, but when I do, check there, find some good pins, and let me know if you guys need anything else, any other tips or questions you have. I can usually find a good fix for things, so enjoy.